I used to think about some of my resentments every single day. And then after that, like I never thought about them again. Like, hello. Welcome to Breaking the Cycle. I am Austin Zilli. I have broken the cycle, and we're here with the amazing now co-host.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Cycles.
I'm Lazina, and this is my
Nice.
daughter, Tasia. What?
We're
I
kind of
know.
awkward today.
Yeah, we are awkward today because we're trying something new.
Okay, Lizzie now.
Yeah. So Austin is our one. Well, we are the guests. Austin has taken over our podcast today, and and Austin is going to tell us all about what taking over the podcast means to him and why.
Yeah. So for me, I have broken the cycle not just in my family, but in myself. I grew up with a father that was very critical, and it was a struggle for me to be creative and artistic. I was very depressed and monotone and not very active. So I was like, okay, I'm 14. I'm deciding that if I am to be alive, I might as well be rich and famous and have something fun, like do something interesting. And I believe that nobody's cut from a different cloth. Like, if somebody else can do it, I can definitely try. Why not me? Let's try and go for it. So for me, I was very monotone and very, like, not social, not very good with my personality. And then I entered high school and I was made fun of and like a horrible laughing stock. But you know what? At least I had a good sense of humor and I tried to get through it and I tried my best. I pushed through. I started doing theater and understanding how to use my personality as a tool, as communication. I understood fashion as communication. And I figured out how to relate to people and adapt to a neurotypical world too. So that is basically like my cycle. But in breaking it, I actually started getting so good at my social skills, dating, talking to people, business networking, sales. I got so good that a lot of my business owner friends would ask me for advice, and I would give them advice that was something that gave them crazy changes, like groundbreaking transformations. And for them, it was super helpful. For me, it was obvious because I grew up so broken. And for me to glue all the pieces together, it took an immense amount of skill for me. And then I started giving advice to other people. And that leads me to my company, or my project is self-improvement. So self-improvement is about getting people into improv classes that are based on persona. So they can melt their anxiety in a very low pressure setting. And then they can step into their most confident self. Identity shifting is what you think about yourself and your self concept. But for me, I'm like, okay, let's combine all that into a persona. Persona shifting with your habits, your nervous system, your emotions, your feelings, and the way you think about yourself and your self identity, what you believe about yourself. So taking out those limiting beliefs is basically my core product. I want to install social OS into as many people as possible. So life and socializing can be simple for them. And that's essentially how I broke my cycle and how I help other people do it.
That's amazing.
That was a lot.
Yeah, we're done. Just kidding. Yeah, so that's kind of why.
Drink.
That's right. Go for it. Yeah, that's why I thought it would be cool for you to, show us what that persona shifting can look like by just taking over the podcast. I love that.
Yeah, I like started off life like so monotone and dry and sarcastic, and then I learned how to be like empathetic and read people's facial expressions, like all the crazy like neurodivergent stuff. I had to like really weave through strategically and teach myself how to do it. And so I got really good at teaching other people. And voila, now I can present.
Yeah. I think that's really commendable that you realized all of this at 14. Well, did you realize it at the time or was it more like after the fact?
Yeah, so when I was 14, I sort of became self-aware that like all my personalities and behaviors, like everything is just a habit. Like it's just things you're conditioned to do or believe based on where you're from or whatever. And so that was really the core of like choosing what I value. I used to play video games before I was 14, and then I was like, all right, let me try to like remember all these video games. And I was like, man, there's some video games I played for a long time that I like totally forgot. And I was like, what if I'm gonna forget most things after I do them? Like, I might as well like work out every day and like I'll forget about the pain and I'll just be left with whatever I build, right? So I've always been obsessed with building stuff, which is why during my day I'm like, okay, this is all forgettable. Like today is totally forgettable, but I'll take one nugget of wisdom out of this YouTube video. I'll put 8 hours or 12 hours of work into my business, my projects, and then for my body, I'll forget a delicious meal, but I'll carry it around with me. And I'll forget if it was just bland, like I'm just eating cauliflower and carrots, but I carry that with me. You know, your food is your fuel, your body is something, everybody's a bodybuilder. It just depends on whether you're building good, building it bad. And
Yeah.
your mind is the same way. The media you consume creates more anxiety or less.
Yeah. I think when I think about my 14-year-old self, I would, I just came from Guyana to New
That's
York.
true.
So I was from a small, it's like a 17 square mile island in South America, and to New York City. So it was like a big culture shock and transition. So I had no concept of self awareness or video games. Like all of those things were new
Yeah.
because it was a developing country. There wasn't a lot. Now it's better, but back then it wasn't. And so when I was in high school, it was scary at first because like New York high school is way different than where I went to. And I didn't know about social anxiety or anything like that. I just knew that you have to go here and you obey and you can have friends and just kind of hang out. But the cool thing too is that um they were other guy it was a heavy Guyanese community, so there were other people like me, so I felt okay, I was safe. I think if there was
Wow, that's good. I have a friend who's Guyanese, and she's
oh
like, I don't meet anybody Guyanese ever.
yeah, not here. Yeah, it's hard to meet people here. New York, yes, or
New York's like a
Miami.
hot spot for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Orlando has a big community too. Yeah.
Hmm, that's interesting. Do you connect with them a lot? Is it nice to like go to the root and taste that food again, experience
Oh,
the event?
I love Guyanese food. Yes, I love me, but I love my mom's cooking more than anything else. So I would rather her cook. But yeah, there's some spots. So
That's
that's
good.
cool. I'd love to meet your Guyanese friends so we can talk
For
about
sure.
land.
I want to look you up. For me, it was very weird. I love this song called oh God, it's called American Dream by a South Korean band.
Okay.
But they were like, there's this song that they have, and it says, "Don't ask me where I'm from. I don't know what to say." And the core of the song is, the place where I grew up thinks I have changed, and I've always been a stranger in my home. And I've shown that to a lot of people who are immigrants, and they like really, really resonate with that song.
Yeah.
And for me, I felt that way too, because just because I happened to be born here in Florida, and just because I happen to be in this place, doesn't necessarily mean I identify it.
Yeah.
I was raised on the internet. I was raised with sort of like an international view because I can understand all these different perspectives of different cultures and what's wrong with America, what's right with it, what are some good things and bad things. So I've never really identified heavily with the place I was born. So I always felt like I was wandering, and a European mindset sort of like vibed with me better and more conscientious. And so I've always sort of felt that sort of wandering, and a lot of immigrant people I found not only relate to that song, but get that identity is what you build.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch too because like I grew up on the internet too. So it's like having more of the unison look at things where you see people more for like what they're saying underneath the words that they say and underneath the face that they wear. But then I was also thinking when I was 14, I had just started middle school, I think,
Yeah.
question mark, and I was online.
Yeah.
Like I did the first year of middle school in only because we had moved around a little bit, but when we came to Florida, yeah, it was my first year I did it in public school, and that was a terrible experience. I felt like I had no friends, nobody around, nothing like that. And then going to online, it was I made one friend, and she stuck by my side for all of middle school, and then like that was it. Um, so like me thinking back of like what were my dreams, I was so stuck in being like tiny and hidden that I was like the only thing I wanted to do was be a doctor. The only thing I wanted to do.
So that's how you defined yourself. Yeah, I get that. Like, totally slay queen. I understand, like, what it's like to be chronically online and then not get it. Because when I went to public school, I did not swear at all because I was just like, oh, what's the point? Like, it's colloquial and it's cultural. And when I went into a school, it was like a total culture shock. And so I find that I get along best with people who understand that like internet lingo and they like grew up on the same culture. Like they understand video games and anime and like other things that are more available online. But in the real world, people are just like, oh, yeah, that's like sort of something that I have never been exposed to. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why the concept of social anxiety didn't resonate with me. But now when I think about it, it's like the whole time I was anxious, I was just storing it. I wasn't putting it in words. And when I looked at my kids, I didn't want them to feel what I felt, so I tried to protect them from it and, and empower them to do it. But I didn't do that very well because I didn't know how to even do it. So I'm sure that it kind of came off like, oh, wait, making noise.
Aw. I mean, it's sort of like people say that when you are a parent, you are also growing up.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, you get to see your parent grow up into a person who has actually earned their stripes as a parent. They have messed things up horribly. They have repaired things with you. They have made the wrong decision and had to deal with guilt.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you're racked with that stuff. Like, but to see your parent go through it and relate to them, it can be very good to attune both of you guys like together. And I don't know what that's like really, but um I did the deathbed exercise, so I wrote out all my resentments into a letter. Like you're on your deathbed, you write out every single resentment. I sent it to my parent instead of like just burning the letter. And they responded in kind and like I used to think about some of my resentments every single day. And then after that, like I never thought about them again. Like it was something that really helped me get closer to my parents and understand my own attachment wound heavy.
That's so powerful. You want to tell them about 7 times 70?
Yeah, so one of my favorite exercises that I do is this exercise called 70 by 7. Yeah. Yeah. It's basically 70 things that you blame or you hold some type of negative emotion towards. And it could be towards yourself, it could be towards your mom, it could be towards your dad, anybody that you need to do it towards.
Well,
You do it, it's 70 things for 7 days. Consecutively.
If you miss a day, you have to restart. It's such a powerful. So
that's a big challenge. Holy wow.
It's a commitment, but it really like because I was so like my whole thing from when I was like a kid was that I would always write letters. I would always be writing something. So I was so used to journaling my thoughts, but I was always used to that my thoughts would be read. So it was always like a rehearsed journal entry that would be expressed. So the letters was like the 70 by 7 really was like, no, this is the first thing that comes to your brain, what your heart says, what you're actually feeling, and you're going to write it and be consecutive with it to get down to the deep core of like, what actually are you like blaming yourself for or blaming your parents for? And what do you need to heal from that?
Yeah.
And overcoming that, it was like, I don't have a sense of judgment when I come across someone. I don't have a sense of like where I need to hold some type of negative emotion from my past. And if I'm being triggered or I'm in a situation where like I am experiencing those emotions and it's like on a long repetitive cycle, it's like I need to redo the exercise. But really, I just like after doing the exercise, now it's like I just need to write a letter to that person. And it becomes so much easier to let go of the shame and let go of that weight of feeling that the need to like not forgive or to forgive.
Yeah.
Whoa. Can I ask you how old are you, by the way?
I'm 24.
24? Okay, I was like, oh my God, I am learning so much just from you because that exercise perfectly encapsulates not only what I went through, but like that is another like masterful level. And I really appreciate you like teaching me about this method. That is so cool.
Thank you. You're more
You're
than
like,
welcome. What was that? I didn't hear you.
I was telling him if he goes to Rio, a lot of the experiential activities that we do there,
a
he would
lot of the
like
things that you've
your
mentioned.
mind will go and make them even better.
Yes, like
yeah.
I 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. It would
Yeah, I want
benefit
to
so much
join
out of
in
it.
and I'm helping any way I can too. I would love that. That sounds awesome. And I haven't done retreats too, but with this improv thing, I'm sort of like figuring out how I want to structure it because I've been to a bunch of meetups and I know how to structure those. But like these retreats, I'm really getting into. So I would love that. And also like the 70 by 7 challenge. I think that's good if you're doing that or launching that or putting that out there. I'll totally join in and I'll like vlog the whole thing too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. It's one of my
that's some. I have some ideas formulating.
yeah. And Austin is an action person, so
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
all about getting it done. When you talked about like all your attachment theory and your repair stuff, I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And it made me think of how I repaired with like the deathbed letter.
Yeah.
And now like you take it way in a step further with the 70 by 7 challenge. And I think that is so important, especially like with what you went through with your parenting and your journey. Like, I just see so much beauty in you and your journey with learning to repair, you know, and both you guys clearly show that. And it's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
It's like I'm. This is like my most prideful relationship. My relationship with my mom, and
Oh,
it's like because like we've went through so much. Like we at one point we weren't talking for like 6 years, or like it felt like a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
But our family fell apart. We had a rocky relationship when when I was a kid. But like I literally experienced my mom grow up to be an adult. It's like
yeah.
she was 20 when I was born. You were 19, 20, whatever
One
the
day
age.
before my 20th birthday.
Like literally, I'm 24. I can't imagine having a child right now. I can't imagine literally having to take care of a whole other human, even though I take care of human beings for a living. But like a tiny version of me would be crazy. Much less like so with all of my healing and like all of just like really understanding the human consciousness entirely,
yeah.
like it's so much more on the more beautiful side of things where I
Yeah.
used to be somebody that was like, oh, I'm so emo and I'm like I'm gonna end it all and I don't want to be here anymore, to now where like I literally find joy through life. I find joy in connection with my family. I find joy in connection with my mom. Like I post about her nonstop, so I talk about her nonstop.
And it's so true because I think for like a couple, so the way our life went, I was such a young mom and I had gotten married 10 days after my 18th birthday because I wanted to escape. Then I had to see her, and then that was a very toxic relationship that I needed to get out of. Then I got remarried, but I was also scared, and we had the twins, and but I wasn't. I was telling somebody yesterday that I didn't. I sometimes say that I wasn't a good mom, but I don't say that with shame. It's with accountability. I provided, I did, made sure they were on school, showered, fed, taken care of, but emotionally I wasn't present. So what Tasia got was a very angry, aggressive, authoritarian parent.
Right.
And that I felt robbed her of her identity, her voice. And it was a lot of fear. So it wasn't and so when the relationship started to get rocky, I just was like, man, this is just how it's gonna be. And there was the same with me when I was a teenager. I didn't have a good relationship with my mom as a teen. So it now it's really cool because let's say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it was so difficult to communicate with Tasia. Like I was trying so hard and it wasn't working. And I know we were talking about social anxiety, right? But now, like when I put that perspective in, like there's so much that you were not even being yourself or couldn't even feel safe to be yourself. Then you got sexually abused, and that like rocked the whole entire.
Yeah, like I didn't have an
Yeah.
identity until a few years ago. My
Yeah.
identity was like, I am this traumatized girl who has had this traumatic life and I don't want to be here, but I'm forcing myself to be here.
Mhm.
To now where like I'm an empowered person. I'm a confident. I know what I want. I know what my
Right.
future goals are. I know who I am and I can be confident on anybody that I'm around.
Mhm.
But it took a while for me to even figure out what my identity was.
Yeah. And what
Yeah.
I love too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Austin.
I definitely feel that because a lot of people who experience any type of like childhood issues and trauma, like for me, I had a lot of neglect, and a lot of people who have experienced this and go above and beyond, they step from the victim to the survivor
Oh,
to
and
the
you're familiar
champion
with
for
the
other people.
yeah.
I knew it was destined for me to meet this man tonight.
But yeah, like I feel like that in my business too, because like I can't help but to help people who struggle going through what I went through. And it's difficult for me to watch that and not try and like lend a hand. And so there's a culture of like, hey, give people free stuff, give them a free taste, and like let them come into your business. And for me, that's been valuable because I am such a networker that I can like give and bring people in. But your story was so interesting. It sounded like you were very anxious attached and you're trying to control things and make everything perfect and trying to deliver a good experience for your daughters. But it's just like it it reminds me of like the anger of some people who feel incomplete and they're trying to manage, you know?
And you know what's funny though is that I can see that being true as far as because attachment is it's different for different relationships, right? So when I was parenting from guilt and shame,
Mhm.
that's when my anxiousness came out. But when I was parenting from unawareness, I was avoidant. I would get mad and then I would isolate for like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's like I would constantly be in my shame spiral and then I would isolate. And I mean, of course I didn't know what emotional needs or any of these. I didn't know about social anxiety. I didn't know about self-care, nothing. I had no awareness. I feel like therapy gave me awareness and the healing came after. But
What was your breakthrough where you went from unconscious incompetence and you're like, I don't know any of this stuff, and you finally like broke through? Because I imagine as a 19-year-old trying to have a kid and raise a family, you feel so lost. And this new generation has more access to therapy than ever, too.
well, I actually never went to therapy um at all until I was 36.
Wow.
And when I was 36, I was lost and I was working just still part-time at the time, and I would be like, oh my gosh. I would be driving home, it's over an hour drive, silence in the car. Like I was like I would always have this heaviness like like I just had that feeling all the time. And I knew like as a mom, I was shaming myself a lot because I was always like I would get angry very easily and I would take it out on the kids and then I would feel better and I'll apologize and then I promise I'd do it again differently and then I do the same thing again and I didn't like I just kept doing that and then I just kept living in that shame like I can't come out of this and I
Yeah,
stepped
toxic
out.
and spiral.
Yeah, and then at that time I stepped out of integrity and betrayed my partner, my husband at the time. So um I I went to therapy then, and in therapy, that was my first time going to therapy. And that was such a annoying experience because
Let's be so real about this, guys.
yeah, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, first of all, I don't know what I'm feeling. And now I need to go to therapy because I have brought shame upon my family, right? Then I
Wow.
go to the therapist and they're not a good fit, and I don't really like how they're like, I don't know anything, and I'm not feeling the vibe. So then I need to
Oh,
make another appointment to another therapist, and that's like so daunting. Like, why would I want to go do that? I'm not feeling heard, because to what I've learned now is that there are trauma informed therapists, there are anxiety informed therapists. There, if a therapist doesn't have relational intelligence, they're not going to be able to understand a broken relationship. They're going to give me advice on my personality, right? Or so on and so forth. I don't want to like box everybody in.
yeah, but then you're actually going back and throwing yourself into the blender again to be like,
Yes.
oh, God,
Yeah.
somebody help me figure this out.
Yeah, it was really daunting. It was such a awful like I just didn't like it. But then a friend of mine was telling me after she went to therapy, she would decompress, and she would be stuck in like a hole, and there would be misery and sadness. And I'm like, yeah, like I experienced that. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to unpack. So that when one of my therapists, she taught me about the the victim triangle.
Yeah.
And so I started to see, like, in our family dynamic, I was the persecutor, and to see in her father were the victim rescuer. And
Hmm.
so I had no like place in that spot. So I started to kind of like pay attention to how that dynamic was playing. But at the time, Tassie and I weren't communicating. We did not have any kind of communication. We lived in the same house, but we didn't have any kind of communication. So I was like, well, therapy isn't working. And then she gave me a book to read, and it was like a long, thick ass book. And I was like, I don't know, nothing, like I'm trying. And then when Tasia was 16,
When I was 16, I came out with that I had experienced some sexual abuse when I was like 10.
mm-hmm.
And then, which was funny because, like, on my side of literally, not funny that it happened, oh my gosh, but
That's
when I
your
came
story.
out with
This
it, I
your
was
story
like,
is nightmare.
um, I didn't know how far back my sexual abuse had gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like my first memory of like, okay, I remember this, but I don't remember anything else before that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got stuck into therapy, and I hated
Oh
therapy
my
with a
God.
passion.
Yeah.
Like, my household was like, oh, we're all gonna go through therapy, we're all gonna heal ourselves, because like my father had experienced some stuff in his childhood, so he ended up going to therapy, so we all got put into therapy. And I hated
Wow.
every second of it, because like my
Yeah,
therapists were
I'm
like,
so curious. I'm curious what the transformation was like, because you guys are literally like, we hate therapy, like this is like going through a blender, and you're like shedding off all this like extra weight and this like old identity. Like, what was that like? My mind is like bending. Please continue. I'm sorry.
though. So to answer your question, the one that got me the most was when we went to we're activists for a course that we go to, which was real. The name of the course is real. um Literally experiencing that course was getting out all the pent up emotion of like hating therapy, of literally hating life, and literally learning how to love after experiencing so much hate and negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And like the 70 by 7 exercise, that takes the coursework to like complete maxed, because every day you're experiencing a giant release.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally putting all of your shames, all of your hatred, all of your strong emotions out onto this paper. And
Wow.
it's
Facing
like,
it.
and you're facing your fears. You're
Mhm.
literally facing the deepest parts of yourself that nobody else knows about.
Yeah.
Only you know the degree to how much pain you hold in your heart. And every day experiencing it is like, it was such a beautiful thing, because I'm sitting there crying, and I'm like heavy crying. Like, I have a little thing that I do. I have a little candle, and then I have like my incense going on, and I'm writing, and then all of a sudden these tears just start forming, and it's just like a deep emotional cry, where at some points I was in a fetal position, some points I needed to go to my mom to comfort me, some points I need to have a conversation with my brother and my sister because I'm having these realizations. And then there's times where there's another exercise where it's called mirror work, where after I did the letter, I had a conversation with myself in the mirror.
Ooh, I love.
reflecting on
Yeah.
on these feelings and like telling my little girl, it's okay, I have you now. We've experienced all of this, but at the end of the day, it's going to be okay because I have your hand now.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole return to self, like
Yeah.
to go from a point of literally hating everything in life. And
Mhm.
that was from 16 to 19,
Yeah.
that I literally didn't, I was not existent. I literally pushed myself in school. I focused so much on addictive things. I was addicted to alcohol and like nicotine for a while. Um Moved out of my household, moved into a toxic relationship, a toxic family, worked
Fuck.
myself to death, and then
She was
like
gone.
I was not a human. Like I was like a machine at that point. I had no emotion.
She was in
My
straight
emotion,
survival
yeah,
mode.
my only emotion was sadness, depression, and like I was so angry for so long. And now I'm like, I'm happy. Now I like actually know what I'm feeling. I have so much emotional integrity. I know when my emotions are coming up, where it's coming from, the source.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I went through that. I was empty. I didn't have any emotions. And my first girlfriend, actually, when I was with her, I like learned to like love and experience things and like have empathy and like connect. So I sort of had alexithymia, like unable to like feel my own emotions.
yeah.
And you're empty, but you're angry and you don't know why. And it took me a while to understand enough psychology of therapy to wash out those things. And
Yeah.
for me, I did the deathbed letters. Also,
I
one
like that
tip that I
letter.
like, yeah, one tip that I like is I use a voice recording too, and I
Mm.
just talk into it. I was telling my friend who's a client, she was like going through it. She was crying about this guy, and then she was like, I don't know what to do. My whole world is unstable. And then finally, after a while, she was like, wait, you're right, Austin. What am I doing? She booked a $30,000 job. Then, right after that, in her inbox, she found another thing and she was like, okay, I'm going to book this like dream job that I wanted to do. And her life changed around. I made fun of her a little bit. I was like, you were crying over a Dusty, and now you are literally
Yeah.
getting paid like three times as much as like what you were hoping to get out of something smaller with something else, you know?
Yeah. That's important. And that's a important way of doing it because that's what I've learned. For me, that breakthrough we are talking about, like I started after everything happened with the Sia, I was like on my knees in the front lawn and I was like, what the heck just happened to my life? I was not expecting this, right? So I looked at I just was like, this is my mom's life. Now as I was 38, I'm going into my 40s, not, without a husband, 3 kids. I'm like, what did I do? How did this happen? I wanted to understand what happened, So that led me to the deep dives and going to therapy. So I started to learn about my attachment style and, ways I was not, I can correct because I still felt like it was my fault. So I was like shaming myself and stuff like that. So the person I was dating introduced me to the real course. So when I went there, that's when I understood that even when um even though I know my pattern and I understood them, I hadn't healed them. And the
Mm,
energy of that is still there. I grew up believing that my dad didn't want me. So when I'm at work, it shows up at work and my needing to earn approval and the way I work from that space. When I'm in relationships, I could get along with them very good. But when I'm in conflict, I would react. And that reaction really was just the thoughts in my head that's saying that I'm not worthy, and it was
yeah,
really because I'm trying to earn my dad. So at the course, we were able to like have an experience that allowed me to free myself from that. And then doing 70 by 7 as well allow me to look up. Now I see my dad as a human being, not like he was 30 before he got murdered. Like he was the youngest kid out of 12. And when I look at his life, he was arranged marriage at like, very young. So there's no way now that I can like feel unworthy anymore.
What was your biggest breakthrough in like feeling good enough? Marissa Peer is really great. She says everybody struggles with the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good enough. They
Yeah.
feel unworthy of love. They can't get what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge struggle with that. For me, I still have it with artistic expression, but like, what did you do mostly for that feeling of like finally being good enough and get over trying to prove yourself to everybody and everything?
Well, I had that's facing the belief that my dad didn't want me because I attached my worthiness to him not wanting me. So the 70 times 7 helped, the activities at the course helped, and then practicing it at home. So whenever the feelings were coming up, in going to them and like literally envision that it's my little girl feeling that way, and talking. And I think I told you about like the networking event where I held her hand and went in to face that. So it's like it's just remembering and reparenting myself. Like now I have me, I believe in me, I am worthy. So naturally it just became a part of life. But the biggest breakthrough really was when I beat the shit out of a mannequin and I pretended that it was my dad. With a bunch of people yelling shit at me to demean me and stuff like that. It was
That got a left
yeah.
field. Oh my god, was that part of that was part of the event that you beat up a mannequin?
Well, at that time
it was like an exercise where like they literally willed out a mannequin and it would be like, put out all your anger onto this mannequin.
go 100% angry. Yeah.
Wow.
And I cussed my dad out, like, energetically, because that's where it is. And I also, that's what I loved about that activity you said, to speak in the phone or things like that, because the thoughts are what creates our feelings, and then we get stuck in that. So once we
Yeah.
like voice it out and give it a name and say it and feel it out, just being real, not making excuses for it, not shaming ourselves, just say what we have to say, it energetically releases. So, that's a really good exercise that you were mentioning.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think in the improv group we do like comedy, we act out silly little characters. I think the next step is beating up a mannequin. I think there's a real therapy right there in letting all that anger out. I see that in you of like the not good enough and the anger and your story and going to that deep well of pain and then overriding the beliefs right there at that moment. That's powerful.
Yeah, so it's been what, almost 4 years?
4 years for you.
4 years for me, because they did I remember when I left that course that night, I was like, I want all of my
She called
children.
me immediately. She's like, so I need you to take this course.
And she was like, I'm
not taking this course. Like, I was so against it. It took her like 2 years to convince me. And I'm so sorry. I took her so much shame. I'm so sorry.
You guys were like in the fire, like going through it.
Yeah. And it's also being able, like, when you wrote that letter to your parent and they were receptive to it, and
I'm so glad. I'm so happy they were receptive to it. And like that's a really good exercise. And for you to feel that vulnerable enough to share it with them too, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because when I was doing it, when I started, there was so much hate and anger and resentment. And it started from a place of like, okay, for my own personal good, my own personal development, I need to like let go of this boulder. Right.
Yeah.
And so like that was my only, like, it was such a selfish thought, right? I for me need to let go of this.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was it. It was so simple. Great. And then I wrote it out. I did it. I cared specifically. I prefaced everything of like, I want to have a better relationship with you. I'm communicating this to you for this reason. I am not trying to blah, 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 blah. And I wrote it out. I sent it. And that was sort of like the start, one of the biggest unlockings in like my life and relationships, because for me, relationships were really the crucible of where I did a lot of my work, weirdly enough, because I've been in relationships. Most of my relationships, they start and end for different reasons, and the problems are all different. I'm always learning and evolving in them, and not just like, yeah, all 20 of my exes were all crazy. They all wanted to change too much. And it's just like, okay, whatever.
I love that. I'm sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
But I went through some relationships where I finally, when I was in a relationship with someone who was like my mom, I finally like had them blaming me and like me taking care of them and doing all these things for them, that I finally realized like, God, I always took care of everybody else and I didn't take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
Where is my self-care and where is my self-integrity? And where do I see the little kid and say, here, I'm going to help you achieve your dreams?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, getting back to the artistic side, I always view like videos as something that is part of me, like a piece of art,
Yeah.
and I give it to a client or it's something that I'm supposed to post. And I never divorced the art from the artist. I
Mm-hmm.
always thought of this as like, I am putting out this thing that is not good enough. Like, I need to, make it better. Like, I am always like trying to improve my persona and the way I socially communicate. It's been my biggest art project, but actually putting out videos and putting out things that tell my story, I've always sort of withheld because I'm like, this art is not good enough. Like, for me, it's not good enough. I want it to be better. And everything suffers from project bloat, where you're like, all right, let's make it perfect. And it never ever gets there. And it just gets put off forever. And so that has been a struggle for me lately that I've been overcoming. And it's been a long time coming. And it took being in different relationships, giving myself different contexts, expanding my mind. But the biggest thing I got from that is like different environments, which is why I was telling your mom about this book idea yesterday. But I want to create a book called Radical Friendship Therapy.
Yes.
And essentially, the idea is if you want a six pack and six figures, go find an environment where that already exists. Go to some business networking meetup. Find those people already and be like, I am making a group chat for all of us to talk about our goals and our feelings. And I'm going to be your amateur therapist, and we're going to talk this stuff out, and we're going to improve and achieve our goals together. And so this idea seems a little bit strange and radical to some people, and it's very intentional. A lot of people like, oh, just let it flow. But a lot of business owners are not those type of people. They're like, nope, the world has to be manifested and forced. Like there's a difference between forcing your vision on the world and like painting on the canvas and like, oh, maybe if it works, uh, did this video go viral? It's okay. But it really gets that part where you manifest exactly where you want and what you want to be. And that's why my whole business thing has been manifesting your personality
Yeah.
into what you want to be. So that's essentially like my next step of like which social environments to create to manifest
Yeah.
and have what I want.
That's amazing. I really love how your journey has led you to your truth, and how to use you to bring into life your purpose, and the way that that it's going to influence other people. Like, that's really awesome. Like, you really have the journey of realization, and it started since you were 14. I mean, before that obviously, but like,
Yeah.
to be consciously choosing, like, okay, I know I have limiting beliefs, I know that I have attachment style, I know that I can sabotage, I am aware that there are ways that I can heal this, and I've done a lot of the work to do it. Whereas, there was a time when I didn't know that I had attachment style problems, and I didn't
Yeah.
know, and then I hate how I behaved. So it's different to be conscious about it and saying, okay, no, I'm going to do this differently. So that's kind of what I heard in your
It's night
story.
and day to be self-aware and
Yeah.
like to put a bow and wrap that
Yeah.
like about my journey too. The
Yeah.
biggest thing has been internal family systems and discovering like parts and how to talk to them.
Yeah.
That was super helpful in resentment too.
Yeah, I love that letter, that letter, because resentment, that is it. It's the, like, we could have 85% of our experiences in childhood was wonderful, loving, compassionate, and kind, but that 15% of resentment that happened, maybe the teacher said our grades wasn't good and our parents didn't defend us, or our father or mother was busy and they didn't they dismissed our feelings or whatever. We felt dismissed, and that's where that resentment just kind of stuck, and it came up throughout. But I mean, not to I just wanted to share that, like, I see your journey, I see your life, your soul's note,
Thank you.
and it's really cool to witness, and I'm excited that we're co-creating together.
Yes, I'm super excited for it. Like, let's get the power circle together.
Yes.
Also, a quick little note on what you said before. I've noticed a lot of rich kid syndrome, like in some of the people I've coached and talked to, that they have like one little thing. There's too many addictions, too much dopamine when you have it all, when you have a phone.
Yeah.
So, like, they have one little resentment that ends up leading them down one bad path.
Yes.
So it's like, it really does have to be a tight net of like how to attune and how to repair, which is why I think you're like so smart for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming
Mm.
on this episode.
Yeah.
I am so glad I met
Yeah.
you.
Well,
Like,
thank you
you
guys
have
for
such
coming on
a
this
oh,
episode that I've taken over.
Yes.
finish it off. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go for it.
All right, everybody. This has been the
So
Breaking the
sorry.
Cycle podcast, and we're gonna have one final note from these beautiful, beautiful souls, and then we'll wrap up.
Aw, you're so awesome. Austin, you do coaching, you do photography, you're on a journey. Share how, if anybody's listening, well, not if, for those who are listening, how they can reach you, and do your pitch, sell yourself.
My pitch is honestly really easy. You've already heard it. My name is at Austin Zelli. That's Zeli. At Austin Zelli, you can just find me really easily.
Yeah, awesome.
I'll
Yeah.
have your stuff, your name in the bottom of the description,
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
And now I need you guys, since I'm the host of this podcast, I need you guys to shout out who you are.
Well, I'm Lazina,
And
and
I'm Tasia.
yes, and
Yes. And this was the Breaking the Cycle podcast. We're super happy to have you. We're looking at those cyclical things, unwinding them. Come reach out, talk to us if you want to break through your cycle. We appreciate you. Check out the quiz online, get to know your repair language, and thank you so much because you are good enough. Break that cycle.